The headlines flashed across screens worldwide. Philippines unveils strategic runway in South China Sea. Manila's bold move on Balabac Island instantly became a new flashpoint in Asia's contested waters. What was once a remote, forgotten island was now the center of global attention. A modern, military-grade runway had been completed, right on the doorstep of one of the world's most volatile maritime zones. This was no minor project. It was a strategic masterstroke by the Philippines, long seen as the underdog in the South China Sea saga. The runway on Balabac Island marked a shift from defense to proactive deterrence. The world watched, holding its breath, as the rules of the game were rewritten. In Manila, the atmosphere was electric, a mix of national pride and anxious anticipation. For decades, Filipinos had watched foreign powers encroach on their waters. Now, the tide was turning. The government's bold action galvanized the nation, symbolizing defiance and a declaration that the Philippines would no longer be a passive observer. The runway was more than just pavement, it was a line in the sand. Balabac, once known for its pristine nature, was now a forward operating base, a sentinel at a critical maritime choke point. The move directly challenged years of creeping expansionism in the region. It signaled to allies that the Philippines was a serious partner, and to adversaries that its resolve had hardened. The world's most contested waterway now had a new, formidable feature. Washington's response was swift and supportive, emphasizing a free and open Indo-Pacific. Behind diplomatic language, the U.S. welcomed the Balabac Airbase as a key ally's strategic leap. Pentagon analysts recalibrated their simulations, factoring in the runway's enhanced surveillance and rapid response capabilities. Beijing, by contrast, issued stern condemnation, accusing Manila of militarizing the region and provoking confrontation. Chinese Coast Guard and maritime militia vessels were put on higher alert near Philippine-held features. Across Southeast Asia, reactions were mixed, admiration for Manila's courage, but concern over potential instability. Privately, diplomats expressed support. Publicly, they called for calm and dialogue. The international community took notice. Europe, Australia, and Japan stressed the importance of international law and freedom of navigation. The Balabac runway became a case study in how smaller nations could push back against gray zone tactics. Security forums and think tanks debated its long-term impact. The world's focus shifted to this small island, now a microcosm of the global struggle between established norms and revisionist powers. The Philippines had put its sovereignty dispute on the global center stage. For the Philippines, the Balabac Airbase was more than a military installation. It was a symbol of sovereignty reclaimed. Years of loss and frustration gave way to a new narrative. The runway was a tangible assertion of control, resonating deeply across the archipelago. Political divisions softened as the nation united behind this achievement. Social media buzzed with pride. The hashtag Balabac Sentinel trended for days. Filipinos everywhere shared images of the runway, overlaid with the national flag. The constant presence of foreign vessels had fostered vulnerability. Balabac changed that dynamic. It became a focal point for hope and resolve, showing the government's commitment to credible defense. The runway was a modern-day fortress, aimed at both domestic and international audiences. It told Filipinos their country was capable and unyielding in defending its territory. National morale soared, fostering renewed patriotism and appreciation for the armed forces. The concrete strip on Balabac supported not just aircraft, but the spirit of a nation. The runway's construction was a feat of secrecy and engineering. For over 2 years, military engineers and contractors worked under the guise of ecotourism, battling monsoons and logistical hurdles. Balabac's location is a game-changer. At the nexus of the South China Sea, Sulu Sea, and Malacca Strait, overlooking vital sea lanes. Before the runway, the island was a strategic vulnerability. Now, it's a forward-deployed bastion. The Philippine Air Force can deploy advanced jets and patrol aircraft to the region in minutes, not hours. The runway hosts larger transport planes, enabling rapid deployment to remote outposts. Balabac is now the anchor of the Philippines' southern defense posture. The base is being equipped with advanced radar, anti-ship missiles, and a deep-water port for naval vessels. It's becoming a multi-domain hub for maritime security operations. From here, the Philippines can monitor air and sea traffic, challenge unauthorized vessels, and protect its southern territories. The sleepy island has awakened as a formidable sentinel. The transformation is profound. Balabac is now a cornerstone of regional security. The strategic landscape of the region has been forever changed. The Balabac Airbase forced a recalibration of strategies across the region. For neighboring countries, it was both a welcome strengthening of ASEAN and a source of concern about escalation. A stronger Philippines meant a more stable regional balance, but also risk-provoking China. The fear Beijing might increase its military presence or establish new outposts nearby, triggering a cycle of militarization. Quiet diplomatic channels buzzed with these concerns. For the US and allies, Balabac became a crucial piece on the geopolitical chessboard, a potential staging point and intelligence hub, but it also deepened American commitment, raising the stakes for the alliance. An attack on the base could trigger the Mutual Defense Treaty, requiring careful diplomacy to manage tensions. For China, the base complicated its long-term strategy, challenging its anti-access bubble and gray zone tactics. Beijing's next move would signal its tolerance for this new reality. The region watched closely, knowing the future of security in Asia was being rewritten. The chessboard had shifted, and every player was on edge. The inauguration ceremony on Balabac Island was a display of military might and national pride. Under a brilliant sun, the new runway gleamed as FA-50 fighter jets roared overhead. The event was broadcast live, watched by millions. The president's speech was defiant. Today, we consecrate a symbol of our unshakable resolve. We will defend our waters and secure our future. Thunderous applause followed, echoing national sentiment. After the speeches, a C-130 transport landed, delivering medical supplies and school materials, a message that the base served both defense and development. The base would connect Balabac and remote islands to the rest of the country. This dual-purpose role highlighted the nation's strength rooted in its people. The ceremony was rich with symbolism, a declaration of sovereignty and self-reliance. For soldiers, residents, and Filipinos everywhere, it was a moment of immense pride. The inauguration was more than a formal opening. It was the unveiling of a new, confident Philippines. The world watched as the nation stepped boldly onto the global stage. History was being made on Balabac's runway. In the days after the inauguration, Beijing's response was calculated and precise. Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels increased their presence near key Philippine features, ramping up gray zone tactics. Assertive patrolling and shadowing of Philippine boats sent a clear message of displeasure. China's state media launched a campaign, portraying the Philippines as a pawn in America's strategy and warning of instability. These narratives targeted both domestic and Southeast Asian audiences, aiming to sow doubt and division. Chinese military planners reassessed their maps. Satellite surveillance of Balabac intensified. Analysts speculated China might accelerate militarization of its own outposts to counter the new base. The strategic game in the South China Sea became more complex and technologically advanced. Despite heightened rhetoric, Beijing avoided direct confrontation, signaling discontent without crossing red lines. The strategy sustained pressure to test Manila's resolve and complicate base operations. The Dragon watched Balabac closely, probing for weakness. Tension had become the new normal. The Balabac airbase fundamentally alters the strategic and psychological dynamics in the South China Sea. For the armed forces of the Philippines, it's a shift from reactive to proactive defense. With a forward base, air and naval assets are now at the edge of disputed territories. Persistent surveillance and rapid response capabilities act as a powerful deterrent. The challenge, keeping the base supplied, defended, and operational around the clock. For China, gray zone tactics now carry greater risk. Militia boats can be met with air power, raising the stakes. The psychological impact is profound. The narrative of unstoppable Chinese expansion is broken. Balabac inspires hope and resolve not just in the Philippines, but across Southeast Asia. Strategic geography, leveraged well, is a great equalizer. Manila is now making moves Beijing must answer. But the new front line brings heightened risks. Miscalculations could spiral quickly. The margin for error is smaller. Deterrence and diplomacy must work hand in hand. Balabac is a powerful tool, but one that demands careful strategic use. The legacy of the Balabac airbase will extend far beyond its military function. It marks a turning point in the Philippines' struggle for sovereignty and national confidence. The runway transformed a vulnerability into a bastion of defense, altering the country's security architecture. Balabac's dual-use role strengthens disaster relief and humanitarian assistance, connecting remote communities. The base forges a bond between military and civilians, linking national security to community welfare. For future generations, Balabac will symbolize strategic foresight and unity. It will inspire leaders and citizens to defend the nation's dignity. The base is a declaration of identity, the Philippines as a maritime nation, committed to protecting its heritage. The roar of jets is the sound of a nation's spirit taking flight. Balabac's legacy is one of security, pride, and unity in defense of home.